afternoon. This is Muhammad Ahmed Mazhar, and this is my article which I want to present in this conference. Basically, I am student of PhD in University of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The title of the article is External Debt, NODA, and GDP Growth Nexus for South Asian and Southeast Asian Selected Economies. Introduction. Many developing economies experience low savings. A significant portion of the people's income was spent on consumption with little or no savings. As a result, investment in these countries remains low, which transformed into low economic growth and led to the nation to become poorer. Hence, many of these countries rely on external debt and net official development assistance, which is NODA, as a source of funds for development and economic growth. So this is very clear scenario that every developing country always needs capital, and there are two sources of capital. One of them is external debt, and the other one is aid, that is called NODA, Net Official Development Assistance. Aid can be distributed bilaterally from lender to receiver, either via development agencies such as World Bank or United Nations. It consists of grants, soft loans, and technical assistance. The OECD maintains a list of developing nations and regions where aid is considered ODA. List of these nations presently more than 150 countries and regions with less per capita income than the United States dollar, 12,276 according to 2010 statistics. According to the UN goals, development nations must offer 0.7% of their gross national income in place of ODA. External borrowing is found to be a common phenomenon for all developing countries in their early stages of development, as they often face limited domestic capital for development and growth, and may therefore borrow from developed nations to boost domestic resources and achieve high sustainable economic growth. So it is very natural phenomena that every developing country always need the external debt to maintain and sustain their development goals. According to the World Fact Book, from the year December 2016 to December 2017, the global economy has been facing a central problem of external debt growth. So this is ground reality that every developing country in current era facing the problem of debt burden. So the report indicates growing trend in the external debt with the US dollar 2,000 billions of total world debt registered in 1998, followed by the 2,700 US dollar billion in 2004 and 56,900 billion US dollar in 2009. The external debt has created a heavy financial burden in many developing countries, and as a result has negatively affected the country healthcare development, living standards, education, and economic growth. This is the reason the poor country always facing the repayment issues. So whenever they will pay their loan installment, they face the trouble to facilitate their peoples in different shapes, such as health issues, education, etc. Because lot of amount they borrow from outside the countries, and ultimately they have to pay that amount to the concerned bodies. As a dynamic participant in the economic growth process, external debt approaches to steadiness in the financial budget in any country. Foreign borrowing in which ODA and external debt we are including take place as an essential and fundamental component in advanced public finance and are deliberated as provisional but sophisticated means. Due to the inadequate stock of capital, governments borrow foreign aid debt during their primary stages of economic growth. This was my last article that I have, it is already published during 2019. Borrowers may be the private corporations, individual and government in case of external debt. On the other hand, lender can be private, commercial banks, governments, and international financial organizations such as IMF and World Bank, etc. External debt is classified into a public guaranteed debt and private non-guaranteed credit. Since the beginning of the credit crisis during 1980s, the influence of external debt on economic growth has been under discussion among the different economic scholars such as Sash 1989 and Krugman 1988. The external debt could be very useful as a source of economic growth and development. However, it may be very expensive for the nation because of the cost involved as debt servicing and the payment of amortization, liquidation of the principal and accumulated interest, etc. External debt have an effect on ranking for the economic growth in any country, because whenever any country gets the huge amount of external debt, ultimately is ranking of the economic growth goes to diminish or goes to downward. So due to this high debts, economic growth will be affected very badly because it damages capital accumulation and factor of productivity. Hence, many poor and developing countries are facing high unemployment, low level of income and investment, fewer savings, current account deficit, and high level of inflation and poverty. Due to the lack of sufficient capital to resolve these economic concerns with efficiency, they depend on external debt and aid accumulation, their domestic resources. Thus, the fact that external debt and ODA have a significant effect on economic growth in any country or any country economy is contradictory and challenging. Contradicting in sense that because in many countries, it shows significant and positive impact, which this portion we will discuss in literature review, because a lot of countries are having a significant and positive impact. Otherwise, many countries have a significant but negative impact. So it's a contradictory. So therefore, the issue is widely available for discussion. Based on the above discussion evidence and the facts, a precondition is to assess the effect of ODA and external debt on the prosperous context of economic growth in South Asia and South Asian designated nations. These are the 9 nations that we will discuss in data category. Empirical literature review. In this concern, related to this topic of research, we have conducted a lot of articles review, and it's a good article which are published in very renewable journals. So basis on the summary of all articles reviewed, we have found that there are positive and significant impact portion. There is a negative and significant impact, etc. So first of all, we will discuss ODA and economic growth relationship. There are a number of studies revealed positive and significant influence of ODA on economic growth. Some of researchers are here, such as Chenary and Strout 1966, Papanik 1973, Danakal et al. 1996, Minoyo and Reddy 2012, M. Chaudhary and Das 2011, etc. However, a negative relationship between foreign aid and economic growth is determined through empirical analysis comprised Boni 1996, Griffin and Enos 1970, and then latest current era. A number of researchers are also involved, in which few of them are mentioned here. No significant impact of ODA on economic growth also confirmed during the literature review in few studies. It comprised R. Bandaryari et al. 2007, Kolau Holi 2013, N. Kalau et al. 2016, and Tang and Bundhu 2017. While mixed effect of ODA on economic growth revealed by very few economists, in which Yen 2012 and Iknayaki and Chetrana 2010 and Ramadan et al. 2016. On the other side, other portion of the research involves external debt and economic growth relationship. It shows positive and significant impact of external debt on economic growth, which is confirmed by a lot of scholars such as Sheikh et al. 2010, Bakr and Hassan 2011, Rahman et al. 2012, and lot of other researchers are also involved in this category, which believe that external debt having a positive and significant impact on economic growth of any country. On the other side, a negative and significant influence of external debt on economic growth also revealed by a number of studies comprise Pearson et al. 2004, Malik et al. 2012, Chung et al. 2010, Bao and S. Kumar 2010, and there are number of researchers also believe that there is a negative impact of in external debt on economic growth everywhere. However, many people are also believes, many researchers also believe that they have external debt is not matter in economic growth process. After reviewing the empirical literature review, we have established the research questions, in which there are 6 questions. 3 questions are involved that there is a positive and significant impact of NODA and external debt on GDP, as well as in other 3 questions, we have tried to reach out the Granger causality. What is the Granger interaction, or what is the Granger relationship among these 3 variables? Model data and methodology. According to Benton 2020, the solo swan model of economic growth assumes a continuous production function linking output to the input of capital and labor, which leads to the steady state equilibrium of the economy. So this is the latest model. Solo swan is a good model for learning the economic growth. So we follow the solo swan model in its original form, and this is basically our research framework. The secondary data consists of 9 developing countries from 2 different regions, South Asia and Southeast Asian, borrowing NODA, net official development assistance, and external debt stock to meet their financial needs. Basically, these all countries are developing countries, and they always need the aid and external debt for meeting their economic growth targets. These countries, the countries from South Asia comprise Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, whereas from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam also included in this study. But at the time of data collection, we failed to get the Vietnam data according to our variables. So we neglect the Vietnam because the data was unavailable for the analysis purpose. So finally, we did the analysis of only 9 countries, 5 from South Asia and 4 from Southeast Asian region. Using panel data source from World Development Indicators over 1971 to 2019, this study employs various econometric techniques comprise fixed effect model, panel co-integration, panel dynamic least square, and Granger causality test for desired regression estimation. Our standard model for estimation was in which external debt stock and net official development assistance, both variable was included. So according to our model A, this is our journal standard model. Otherwise, model B and C also mentioned and stated here, in which one model is missing an ODA and the other one is missing external debt stock variables, because we have tried to study different in different scenarios and try to find out that what is the interaction of any variable if it miss from the standard model. Estimation techniques. A panel data method is considered an efficient analysis technique for revealing a reliable, valid, and robust conclusion through consenting to numerous cross sections and time series data jointly. Panel data variation provides more degree of freedom, unlike pooled ordinary least square regression model. Panel data is much superior as compared to cross-sectional data for analyzing the dynamic variations. This is accomplished by pooling all observations such as time series and cross-section and running the regression. For panel regression equation estimation, there are 3 basic methods for or techniques comprising pooled ordinary least square, random effect, and fixed effect method. We have already taught that pooled ordinary least square method is not usually used for the panel study because it not confirms the robust estimations. Otherwise, we have other 2 models or techniques, methods in which fixed effect method and random effect method are included. Based on the Hussman test, we decided which one model is the best for our regression estimation. So Hussman basically introduced a technique through which we decide which one model is suitable for our which one technique is suitable for our model estimation. The pool data technique is the most restricting and almost never used for panel data model estimation as per IPAPRA et al. 2021. Henceforth, our research employs fixed effect and random effect techniques. According to Judge et al. 1985, the fixed effect model will be appropriate for model estimation if and only if t greater than n, where t is the number of time series and the n is the number of cross-section unit in the panel data type. Similarly, random effect method will be also appropriate method to estimate the model if and only if n greater than t. In this situation, estimates from both methods such as FEM and REM will be the significantly different. On the other hand, Hussman 1978 established a test recognized as the Hussman test to determine which model, either FEM or REM, is the suitable well on the data estimation. The Granger causality test was also adopted to check the relationship among the different variables, and it was initially introduced by Granger in 1969. with the ambition of testing a statistical hypothesis for determining whether one time series is suitable or valuable in predicting another. According to the Hussman test outcome, that after getting the estimations, the fixed effect model is the appropriate method for our all three econometric empirical models, which was A, B, and C, and estimations because based on Hussman test outcome, the cross-section random probability is less than 5% for all three panel equations. If we will go to the above of this slide, first one, according to the Judge et al. 1985, here we have found that if T is greater than N, then FEM is the more suitable for the model estimation. So in our model, our T is also more than N. So it proves that both methods are appropriate and can be used. After making the estimations, we have concluded some results. This research, which is the conclusion of the study, this research study attempt to examine the impact of external debt stock and net official development assistance on GDP growth in selected South Asian and Southeast Asian countries over the period 1971 to 2019. Through employing the solo growth model and total natural resources rent as a control variable, the study engaged various econometric techniques for empirical analysis. The overall finding confirms that there is a negative and significant impact of external debt stock on GDP growth, while there is an insignificant impact of net official development assistance on GDP growth in South Asian and Southeast Asian selected economies over the period 1971 to 2019. According to the outcomes of panel equation model A, because we have estimate three models, which was first was the standard model, that was the model A. The other one model was B and C, in which one variable, one by one, like an ODA and external debt was missing. According to the outcomes of panel equation model A, it is revealed that external debt stock has a negative and significant impact on economic growth in designated South Asian and Southeast Asian economies over the specified period of research. The empirical consequences shows that by a 1% increase in external debt stock may cause the decrease of 1.48 unit in destination South Asian and Southeast Asian economies. So negative impact, negative relationship revealed that the borrowing the external debt for all these destination countries or selected countries, it is not a profitable or not a positive sign for these economies, because whenever they will go for the increasing their external debt stock, ultimately their GDP growth goes to decreases. Furthermore, the impact of other variables such as saving, capital, depreciation, governance, and total natural resources, which was our control variable for South Asian and Southeast Asian selected economies, was also analyzed. The estimation results of panel model equation A validate that an increase of 1% in savings may cause the increase in GDP growth by 13.19 units. According to the panel equation model B, increasing 1% in saving will result is an increase of 12.36 unit in these selected countries for the specific period, while panel model C equation showed an insignificant influence on GDP growth. Same as capital has a positive and significant impact on GDP growth, the estimation outcome also three panel model equation confirms that an increase of 1% in capital may cause an increase in GDP growth by 10.14 units, 10.12 units, and 10.75 units in South Asian and Southeast Asian selected economies for each model, respective. The FEM estimation outcome, that is fixed effect model, confirms that there is a negative and significant impact of depreciation on GDP growth in these selected economies. Ultimately, there is an economic theory that depreciation ultimately shows their impact in negative on GDP growth. Okay. The FEM estimation outcomes confirms that there is a negative and significant impact of depreciation on GDP growth in South Asian and Southeast Asian selected countries. It is intended that increasing 1% in depreciation may cause the decrease in GDP growth by 5.26 units, 5.24 units, and 5.11 units in panel model A, B, and C accordingly. Based on FEM technique, our results confirms that the insignificant impact of governance on GDP growth in these countries over the specific period. According to FEM outcomes, there is a positive and significant impact of TNNR, that is our control variable, on GDP growth for these countries. The result confirms that an increase of 1% in total natural resources rent may cause the increase in GDP growth by 0.099 units, 0.096 units, and 0.1 units respectively in our three-panel model equation A, B, and C. So these are our references which we have used in our article. I would like to thanks for your time and concentration, and hopefully you will recognize and encourage me after listening my presentation. Thank you very much.